Welcome to the Growth Buyer Podcast, where we engage with top business leaders who share their experiences and provide real insights that help them attract customers, retain staff, and grow their bottom line. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi there, I'm Kevin Hourigan, co-host of the show, where we feature inspiring leaders who help us focus to grow, to get better in our businesses, to get better in our own knowledge, and to get better with our teams. This episode is brought to you by Spinutech. Spinutech is a digital advertising agency that supports their clients through the right website, the right digital marketing campaigns to help them reach the right KPIs and help their companies grow. To learn more, you can go to www.spinutech.com. Today, I have Chad Franzen with me. Chad's with Rise 25, and he's done hundreds of interviews of successful entrepreneurs and CEOs, where today I'm actually going to flip the script and Chad's going to interview me. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, Kevin, thank you so much for having me. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. Hey, today we're going to talk about some digital trends that are coming up this way here in 2023. So tell me about the digital trends for 2023 and how you see them moving this year and beyond.
Yes, so I think the digital trends for 2023 are very untrend-worthy. We have a lot of fragmentation taking place in the marketplace, and I think there's a lot of consumer questionability out there for the companies that we manage their digital advertising and website design and website development businesses. There's a lot more questions being asked in 2023 planning than I'm used to in prior years. And I kind of chuckle. I think probably one of the most frequent questions that I'm asked quite often is what are your other clients doing? And, often we go into planning and most companies feel, and often it feels good you have a tailwind going behind you. You've been advertising for the year. You've been able to meet a lot of the KPIs that you've established for your company. And you look into the next year as just a normal evolution as to where your advertising and marketing campaigns are going. I think as we're going to 2023, we're not experiencing the same tailwinds we've had in the last prior years. And that can be somewhat cyclical. Obviously, we go through economic trends that can go, gangbusters good or gangbusters bad. But this year seems to be a lot more precautionary about making commitments that in prior years seemed to be a little bit easier to sign up. The conversations were less intense. The conversations were less data-driven. The conversations more confident in setting what forecasts and goals should be that I think that we're experiencing in 2023. And so definitely a little bit more concern, a lot more questionings, a lot more expectations of data to help draw conclusions than in prior years.
Why do you think there is more skepticism, this year rather than in other years? Is it strictly economy driven or something else?
I think there's a lot of factors. I think why a lot more questions are taking place. I think a lot of companies maybe hit their expected growth goals and things of that nature, but I think many did not. We're seeing a lot of news out there today of a lot of companies who are in hiring restrictions. Unfortunately, we've seen some layoffs. We've seen some definite turbulence out there in the marketplace. And that news, I think, has others thinking about, I thought that might just be my company, but it seems like others might be infected with the same lack of confidence or what seem to be a little bit more easy, predictable ways to grow the business seem to be a little bit more difficult right now.
Would you say everybody is lacking confidence, or are there some that are still feeling pretty confident?
No, I'd say the majority is questioning. There are definitely, others who are feeling very strong and very confident. Companies who are doing very well with their results are, certainly watching to see what others are doing, but they're not going to hold back on what seems to be data is pointing to continue to go forward. Those who, again, are maybe, slightly falling behind where it used to be acquisition costs or ability to repeatedly get the same amount of revenue and struggling to find those same answers right now, either due to market demand softness or rising costs of advertising or whatever it might be. They're definitely asking more questions than I think they've had in the past when maybe they've run into a little bit of headwind, but definitely more and more questions being asked now.
So what would a brand who is feeling pretty confident and ready to just move forward digitally in 2023, what's kind of their line of thinking? What are they saying?
So I think they're saying, listen, we've got a good track record in place. Data's pointing to a lot of good decisions. A lot of companies have growth goals. A lot of people we work for are publicly held companies. They're investor-backed companies. Those companies have expectations of growth. And when you've got good momentum going into the tail end of the year, then you're going to just capitalize on that and to be able to say not only going to do what we did last year, but we want to expand on what we did last year. We want to find additional channels to be able to invest in, to find additional ways to be able to attract customers, retain customers, grow customers. And so whatever it takes to acquire new customer bases or to be able to complement the existing customer bases we have and find new products to be able to cross-sell or resell into those customer bases. They're extremely excited about deploying more capital in there to be able to find additional ways to grow beyond what they were able to do in the last year. And that's where those companies who've had a good track record in 2022, that's where their headsets seem to be at.
So if a company decides not to move forward, what are they thinking?
Yeah, I think in my experience, there's not too many I'm running across, or maybe I can even say I can't think of any who aren't agreeing to move forward. They just haven't agreed to move forward yet. They're hesitant. I would say that there's a lot of indecision out there. And I think that indecision is where you're seeing a larger request for data to help make the decision. I think you're looking for additional feedback or experience to be able to help create some of that, because the gut, so to speak, isn't telling you to full throttle down. And so I think those who haven't made a decision yet, they haven't said no. I really can't think of a single brand that we work for who said no or stop. I think I'm experiencing significant other, though, who at this point, maybe at this time of the year, would be ready to approve, still seeking more input of other ideas to be able to bring to the table to make a decision they feel more comfortable with.
What is your kind of response to either one? Let's say somebody's really excited. I'm guessing you'd probably be really excited too. But if somebody's not, what's kind of your response to that? I mean, is the cost of not doing it greater than the cost of doing it?
No, Chad, that's a great question. I think on those who are excited and those who aren't ready to quite make a decision yet, I think data is a great component to be able to make some decisions of. And when the data makes a clear, actionable basis point to move forward, those are easier decisions to make than when maybe some KPIs are performing a little bit differently than they have in the past. That's where the questions start to arise. But I think, either in the ones that are super excited, just what are the data points that they're super excited about? Make sure there's validation on both sides, that those seem to be seen on both sides. But for those who aren't at that point, the questions are quite valid, and the opportunity to make sure we're looking at this holistically and in detail as well to make sure we all see the same data points is very helpful. And it helps all of us be aligned as to what we're doing, why we're doing it, the decision points that we're making it on, and to get that alignment as we go into the campaigns and then be able to measure performance, but making sure everyone has a more clear understanding of what we're going to be doing, because the guarantee factor seems to not be as strong as it has been in the past.
Is there a way to kind of, I don't know, create a new path or something besides just throwing in the towel saying that the data points don't support moving forward? I mean, surely you'd think you'd want to remain, digitally prominent if you could.
Yes. Yeah. Again, I don't think we've had anybody who said that they are going to slow down or abandon their 2023 strategy. Mm-hmm. I think they just haven't all signed on the dotted line, so to speak, as to what it is, just seeking more information. I think most of the companies, or all the companies that we work for, are mature advertisers who recognize not advertising is not a solution to help grow a business. And so they recognize there's a commitment there. I think they're just making sure they're just not rubber stamping maybe what they've done in the past, for fear that maybe that strategy needs a little bit of adoption based on some different things taking place out in the marketplace.
You talked about some concerns that your customers have. What was a common question that your customers ask?
Well, one of them is what are your other clients doing? And so sometimes people like to make decisions where others they feel comfortable making decisions where the pack is aligning. And I think it's a super valid question. We provide services in so many different vertical marketplaces. It's helpful to our customers to learn from other marketplaces that maybe they have a myopic view of their particular vertical. But it's helpful to learn other verticals who may be doing really well and very healthy, or other verticals who are struggling in the cycle right now. Those learning lessons that different verticals can learn from other advertisers and different cycles of other different verticals can be very helpful. And it means some are experimenting in channels that this particular vertical might not be experimenting. And what could you learn in the experimentation or in the dominance of some different advertising channels that some verticals have chosen to take advantage of that this particular vertical has not taken yet? And or potentially what are you seeing is having a tailing return on investment in some verticals that your particular vertical is. And so I think that's where a lot of the questions are coming from, and great questions from our customers. Like, what are the others doing? There's an opportunity to not share any confidential information, but to be able to share best practices around multiple different types of advertising campaigns for everybody to learn and be able to get better and make some more educated decisions that everyone has a higher confidence level in.
How have you had to, obviously, if there's an adjustment in customer mindset, how have you had to adjust kind of your mindset moving forward, kind of having to overcome some of the obstacles that maybe they feel like they're facing?
Yes, Chad, and that's a great question too. And I think, part of my learning is as we're heading into, the next year, is making sure, the past has always been making sure that you're understand what your clients' key performance indicators are. There's alignment as to working towards those. But I think my vision of what that means today is extended beyond a couple different degrees greater than it had been in the past. It's not just my customer, it's my customer's customer. Where is my customer's customer today? And where's my customer's supplier? Where's my customer's customer being? And so, up the food chain or down the food chain, however you take a look at it, the behavior of my direct client is certainly going to be influenced by their direct client or their supplier or somewhere up or down that food chain or buying chain, if you will. And so, I think just having visibility, the hesitancy might not be in my immediate customer. The hesitancy may be in my customer's customer or my customer's supplier or somewhere up or down that food chain. And I think a lot of the indecision isn't necessarily the health of the people that we're partnering with. It's the concern that the health of the people that they rely on, either from a supply chain perspective or who they may sell to, that chain may be in for some disruption. And their hesitancy is more around trying to get a better basis point of where that group is going to be behaving, because certainly if it's not going to be behaving the way it was in the past, that could influence positive or negative change in how they're going to perform.
And this isn't something that you had to necessarily consider as much up until this point.
I'd say others on our team certainly had much more visibility. I think it's a learning lesson I've had in my personal journey, that just how much of an impact that is. So often we have these amazing results with our clients, but you see some hesitancy, and it's not necessarily their performance. It's their concern of the others that they provide services to or make up what their services or products are that could be a threat to what their future success is.
Would you say it's healthy, even though it's maybe nerve-wracking in the moment, it's healthy to start considering those things moving forward?
Absolutely. I think most brands are certainly aware of that. Certainly we're cognizant of what our clients are going through. I think in just my personal journey, I'm more cognizant of what those clients, and so on and so forth. And then certainly, supply chain hasn't been a best friend of any brands over the last year or two. And supply chain, burdens or threats have, limited the ability for some companies to be able to produce their product or services. And that could be a threat to being able to grow too, if you're having supply chain issues.
Okay. Well, hey, Kevin, it's been great talking to you today. Thank you so much. And we'll look forward to speaking on future episodes.
Chad, thank you so much for your time today.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Growth Fire podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.